Welcome back to the underground lair at Stringman Guitars. We have got ourselves a 2012 Stratocaster. Let's see if I can get the thing in the video. There we go. 2012, 3 single coil pickups, and we are in here for, get it in the picture, there's some deep gouges in the frets, so it's in here for a fret job. So bear with me, get the camera set up at the correct angle, get the neck off this thing, and get rolling. Okay, just inspecting, we have this guy is a pro player, and he evidently wails on this thing just because, I mean, he's good. I've seen videos of him. In the center here, we have really, I mean, they're really flat. They're pretty much, there's an angle that goes from about here to about here, where there's no fret wear. This is all flat, and once we get down below the 13th fret, they're all dented. So another thing I want to point out to you, get this in the picture, you see the strings, you have locking tuners, but the strings are wound around a post. Don't need to do that with locking tuners. Put it through, pull it tight, lock it down. So this is a 2012 American, I'm going to say American Deluxe because it has the 2 posts. Do some measurements. At the first fret, I'm going to guess that he's about 18 thousandths. Whoops, what am I doing? We don't want that on there. Let's see where this is set at. That's maybe 20 thousandths. Yes, 20 thousandths. Actually, the these is a little bit deeper in there than. But I could fly with that. As far as his neck relief, you know, the reason I'm doing this all is so that I can come back and put everything back to the right specs. He has almost no relief in this. He's got less than 10 thousandths. I'd say he got close to 8 thousandths in there, just for the heck of it. If I knew where my feeler gauge was, my whole set of feeler gauges. Hold on. Okay, I don't know if you could see that on there or not, but that is where he has his relief set at. 0.006. His string height is 4/64. A little more than 4/64. About the same there. 7/64. 6/64, and 7/64. So I don't know if whenever he plays this because of the fret wear, but I played all the way up and down this. He's got no dead frets. A little bit of buzz there. But I would imagine that's because, I mean, if he likes his string action low, and he's going through an amp, he's never going to hear that buzz. Okay, you see how how high and low the saddles are? Your first three are about level, then your G string jumps way up, and then your B is down, and your E is down. I'm gonna guess that's because he may have had some buzzing on these frets and he raised that up. But also, whenever you have a I'm going to measure this radius, but I believe it's a 9.5 inch radius. The strings should match the radius of the neck, and they don't. So let me measure that real quick. Hold on. Okay, so it does have a compound radius, though not much. It's a 10-inch radius here. So yeah, it's in the picture, and all the way up here it's a 12-inch radius. So it's not drastic. So we could still use Mr. Sandy Block. Just keep it level as you go across. So anyhow, take the strings off, and we're going to let it relax, and then we're going to level the neck. Now an amazing video of me relieving the guitar of its neck. Never ever ever use a power driver to do this. You don't want to strip the screws, you don't want to overheat, especially on an imported instrument. They tend to use much cheaper hardware. This is not an import, but just good practice. Right tool for the right job. Also notice that this has a little tilt-o-matic adjustment for if you're, rather than using a shim that you might ordinarily use, you would just use that tilt adjustment. It's not a 2012, it's a 2010. Deluxe Stratocaster. No, hold on a second. That says 2010, but here it says December 7th, 2012. So I was right in the first place. I don't know. Guess that's when the neck was made. That's when the neck was put on the body. Who knows? I don't know. Doesn't really matter, does it? Okay, so I'm going to tape off, well, I'm going to clean up the goo on that neck first. Then we're going to tape it off, and then we're going to start to use the sanding bar. So we'll see you in a bit. Okay, we got the fingerboard all taped up, cleaned up. Bunch of goop on there from playing, but if you play a lot, you're going to get your sweat on there. One thing I always do to every guitar that comes in here is just snug up these the nuts on the tuning pegs. It's always good to give a little turn, make sure that everything's where you want it to be. Notice I taped off the nut. I'm also going to put my capo there so don't damage the nut while I'm doing the scraping. The other thing I'll do is make sure that string tree is tight. It's tight. So I'm going to go ahead and tape up my sanding block. So you might ask yourself, Stringman Guitars, how do you get all the glue off of your sanding bar? Well, son, what you do is you take yourself some 91% rubbing alcohol down at your local mercantile, and that typically will take it off. If not that, I do have goof off. Okay, what we have here is our long scale straight edge, notched straight edge, and we just want to make sure that the neck is in an absolute straight a condition as it can be. Actually, I'm not going to be in the picture, but I'm going to hold it right up to the light to see if there's any light coming through. On the bottom. And looks like I could release it just a little bit more, but it's got to sit and set and get used to not having tension on it. Okay, yeah, that is flat, and we're going to let it sit probably overnight and just let the natural wood just relax completely, and we'll check it, and if we got it totally flat, we'll go ahead and grind off the tops of the frets and recrown them. So I'll be back. Okay, everybody, we've gotten our Fender neck in a, if I can get this thing to stay in place, in a position where it's almost there. I'm going to give it one more little tighten. There's a little bit of a back though, and it's hard to tell whenever you got tape on there, but I think that's going to do it. It's had about a couple hours to sit and relax. Okay, it is touching the fingerboard in between every fret, and if I put it down here you'll see what I'm talking about. Whenever you hold it up to the side and get it, yeah, if you're holding that up to the light the big fluorescent light right above my head. There's no light peeking through. We got ourselves a straight guitar neck. The other way you can check is if you're very, very, very careful. You lay it across the frets. And if you see that it's touching, anyway, it's touching every fret. Everywhere across there. So we are good to go. What I do is I mark, most people do this, I'll mark it with a big fat magic marker. That way you know that you're hitting every fret if you knock the marker off. Make sense? Makes sense. Look down in these areas here where the dents are, and then up here where it's totally flat. You put that on there whenever you knock it off. Uniformly all across, up and down the neck I should say, because it is a graduated radius from a 10 to 12 inch. So now here we go. Use the weight of the bar to do the job. Not applying any downward pressure. So if you look, hold it up there, you can see that where the dents are, it's still dark. So you know where you're going. So we just continue going. And we use more movement down here because everywhere up there the frets are flat. This needs to come down. Gradually work your way across the board. So I'm not going to bore you with 5 hours of this. Nah, it's not going to be 5 hours. But anyhow, you see what I'm saying. Hi, welcome back. We have our fender neck that we've had giant gouges in, and you can see that they are gone. Got a nice crown on all the frets. Turn it around. Even all them flat frets have a nice crown on them. Probably hard to see in the video. I'm working my way up from 800 to 1200 grit, then to 2200 grit. And then I have a polishing wheel for my Dremel, in which we'll put some metal polish on. Spin that off, do that twice, and then we'll remount the neck and do a setup. Okay, everybody. You see we have the silver polish on, well, metal polish. And we're going to bust out the Dremel and we're going to get this thing shined up. Okay, boys and girls, we've got ourselves a nice and shiny and polished and perfect fretboard. What? They're like mirrors. Isn't that beautiful? More of an angle there for you. There you go. So we will take the tape off, remonitor the body, and man, that's nice. And we'll do a setup for you. So we're about to mount the body here, and the towel I had on here was full of all the shavings and powder, metal powder from the fretwork. So if the other side's clean, flip it over because you don't want to scratch, especially a nice nitro finished body. The other thing I wanted to point out to you, this has the tilt function in the neck from the back plate. If you were to need a shim, you can just give that a half a turn or so, and that will give you what you need to get your strings or your action to where you need to be. But as you saw, whenever we took this thing apart, did all the measurements, everything was good, so we don't have to do anything there. We just have to do an adjustment to the truss rod, adjust all the string heights back to what they should be. If you remember, we pointed them out that they were kind of cattywampus, probably to compensate from all the gouged frets. So anyhow, we're going to go ahead and put the body back on, clean up this bridge a little bit, clean up the body.